Welcome to round 9 here on day 1 of Grand Prix Richmond. We are going to look at a match between Neil Oliver, undefeated, as well as Eduardo Sajgalik. Both at 8-0 going here into round 9.
Yeah, Neil's been practicing the sealed format a lot. I've watched him play it on Magic Online quite a bit.
Yeah, Neil Oliver, a very popular streamer. I watch him from time to time as well.
He also won the largest Magic tournament in history.
Yeah, Grand Prix Vegas.
Yeah. Which I think was one of his first Grand Prix.
Oh, that's incredible.
Yeah.
All right, so Defiant Great Maw. It's just going to be a 2-3 for Neil Oliver versus Eduardo's Naga Vitalist, which looks quite good in a red-green deck, which is often looking to ramp into those Colossopeds, turn early, or Quarry Haulers in this instance, shrinking down that Defiant Great Maw even further.
Now, it's worth noting that Eduardo Sajgalik's deck is not a red-green deck. This is a 4-color monstrosity. It's basically a green deck with some blue, and then he's splashing both red and white.
What?
Yes.
Amazing. This is what I want to know, right? This is what I want to know when I see a sealed tournament like this. Is it possible to play a 5-color monstrosity in the sealed format and still win?
Yeah, and here he's 8-0, and the thing about his splashes is his splashes are cards like Oketra's Attendant that require 2 white mana. He's only playing 1 plains in his deck.
Oh my gosh.
He's relying on cards like Gift of Paradise to even have the ability to cast an Oketra's Attendant. But it cycles. So.
Yeah, here you can see he just used it for its cycling ability, which is totally fine, especially since Oketra's Attendant can be embalmed for 5 mana. Here's a way to find what you need. Benefaction of Ronus. He's going to look at the top 5 cards here. He can take an enchantment and a creature.
Oh, so I guess he is all 5 colors. He's playing a Decimator Beetle despite the fact that he does not have a swamp.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
And a Gift of Paradise is just what he needs in this situation. What are you going to take out of this? I mean, it depends on what's in his hand, but what looks good to you?
I think I want to take the Gift and the Decimator Beetle. Though there's something to be noted for the Greater Sandworm depending on what's in his hand.
All right, so it looks like he agrees with you. In comes the Gift and the Decimator Beetle.
Decimator Beetle may be 2 colors, but it's one of the most powerful uncommons in the set.
Quarry Hauler is going to get in for some damage here, dropping Neil down to 16. Neil, notably, only 1 color of mana at the moment. He is going to attack in with that Great Maw and a Bitterblade Warrior, play a Naga Vitalist, and pass.
And Neil's stuck on just 1 color in his 2-color deck, where...
Yes, he's got plains. That's his other color.
Eduardo, his splashes are hilarious to me. Like his Oketra's Attendant, Sweltering Suns is on the splash. It's all these like red, white.
Here's the thing, though. Gift of Paradise. And here we see Cartouche of Strength coming down to take down the Naga Vitalist and give that Quarry Hauler trample and +1/+1.
And a very valuable 4th point of toughness there on the Quarry Hauler if Eduardo does have Sweltering Suns.
Yes.
Which, in a lot of situations here, if Neil plays another creature with 3 or less toughness, that could just
blow
be
out
it.
City.
Yeah.
Neil's going to attack in for 2. Eduardo will fall to 18. I played a deck where I had, what did I have? I had Gift of Paradise and Cut to Ribbons, and I didn't have any black mana, but I did have a Gift of Paradise, and I played Ribbons to win the game.
Ooh.
So, I mean, it happens.
Absolutely. Cut Ribbons is so good. Like you don't even need the black part; it's still a first pick.
Yeah.
And then if you happen to be playing black, it's just absolutely absurd.
I love that card.
Yeah.
I was like, well, I'll put this Gift of Paradise in my deck just because, you know, I'll need it for other things. And then came the moment when I realized I could cast Ribbons with it. Honored Hydra is the play from Eduardo. A 6/6 Trampler has Embalm for a very cheap cost, 3 and a green.
You have 2 cats?
Yeah.
I have one dog. Ronus has a Hydra.
That's pretty BA, Ronus. I mean, he is a snake. So is it weird that he has like a snake-like thing as a pet?
That is kind of weird. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah. That's typical.
Here we go. Just like we said, Sweltering Suns hits the table for Eduardo. That Hydra and the Quarry Hauler will both survive. Neil will have to pick up his entire board. Boom! And Neil scoops up cards. In fact,
Yeah.
Eduardo taking down that first game. Neil has seen enough.
Yeah, now Eduardo's deck, he's playing a lot of really powerful cards. We saw Honored Hydra there. He has
Yeah.
access to Lay Claim. He has, he's just playing all of his best cards. It is as if he just decided, okay, I have 2 Gift of Paradise. I have a Painted Bluffs.
Let's put it all in.
Let's just do it.
All right, we'll be back with more from this matchup after these messages. Welcome back to coverage of Grand Prix Richmond. Maria Bartholdi here in the booth alongside Jacob Van Lunen. Neil Oliver versus Eduardo Sajgalik. Both undefeated, but by the end of this round, one of them will pick up their first loss, which, going into day 2, is not a shabby place to be whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, entering day 2 at 8-1 is still a pretty nice record. You're still very live to top 8 of the tournament.
How great does it feel walking back into the hall on day 2 with no losses, though?
Oh, it's the best.
You just got this
best.
faraway look in your eyes, like,
Yeah.
I remember those days.
Yeah. Oh, man.
I can't relate. My day 2s have been at 3 losses.
Yeah, with these two guys, so they're both used to doing very well in tournaments, and they're not happy to be 8-0. This round matters just as much to them as each and every other round.
Yeah.
And one of the best pieces of advice anybody ever gave me in terms of getting better at Magic is to not think about what record I need to do something specific, and to just think about the game I'm playing and nothing else. So just one game at a time. Like, not even the match, just the game. And if you can really focus in and, turn off everything else in your entire life for however many minutes that one game takes, then you're going to play the best Magic you can possibly play.
It's good advice. Neil Oliver with the Gustwalker in play flashes in an Aven Mind Sensor. Eduardo, seemingly no play here for his turn 3. Up, Essence Scatter. Counters the Aven Mind Sensor. Neil gets in with the Gustwalker again, which it's been noted is a pretty fabulous 2-drop.
Yeah, I mean, this is kind of absurd. Like, Eduardo has the greediest deck we've seen today, and he's at 8-0, and
I love it.
kind of proving how good greed is in this format.
The 80s are alive. And there we see Gift of Paradise on Eduardo's Forest. to gain 3 life. Tap for any two of any color of mana. Neil Oliver, though, playing some creatures. Gustwalker, Caravan, Warrior. Don't match up too well, though, against that 6/6 Hydra.
And Honored Hydra is so good.
Yes.
I mean, the fact that it's a 6/6 trample is just so oppressive in this format to begin with. And then, even if you're able to deal with it, you have to deal with it again.
Yep.
It's just incredible. And, the answers that White has to dealing with that card.
Compulsory Rest.
Yeah, Compulsory Rest is not very good against Honored Hydra because you sacrifice Honored Hydra and then just bring it right back. So you gain 2 life and get a new 6/6 trample. Cast Out is a good one. That's, pretty ideal. And the other thing you can do is in the later game, you can kind of just leave 2 lands to the side and fan bearer it for eternity.
Right. I have played against somebody who just put 2 lands under their fan bearer.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at Neil's list here. He has a couple of Shed Weakness. Well, that's not going to do it. Stinging Shot.
Yeah, now a Greater Sandworm here from Eduardo Sedgalic.
Wow.
So making the ground
7/7
shake.
Worm. The spice is flowing. Can't be blocked by creatures power 2 or less. One of the reasons I love Sandworm Convergence so much is because it's just like the sandworms are appearing out of nowhere at the end of every turn. Poof!
Yeah.
Here comes a sandworm.
It's pretty flavorful.
Neil Oliver is amassing more creatures, though, and he does have a way to fly in for damage by exerting that Gustwalker, which is what he did a turn ago. Plays his Quarry Hauler.
Yeah, he's able to go wide here.
And in comes a Cartouche of Solidarity, giving the Quarry Hauler +1/+1 and first strike. And it's got a friend now. 2 warriors.
And now that's up to 5 power with first strike. We know that Neil has a pair of Shed Weakness.
Yes.
And now that can stand up to fight with the Greater Sandworm.
Neil does also, he is running 2 fan bearers, so that appears to be, his greatest hope at dealing with something that's too big for him to deal with.
I don't think I've seen that before. Eduardo revealed 2 enchantments and no creatures with his,
really? All right, well,
with his Benefaction of Ronus.
he took an Illusory Wrappings, which, isn't a premium removal spell, but blue will take what it can get.
Yeah, I think that card performs much better in Sealed than it does in Draft. In Draft, I've often found opponents just using the O2 to put -1/-1 counters.
Right.
They kill the wrappings during combat and just blow me out.
Yeah.
It's just not the best.
Yeah, Forsake the Worldly is a card. It has cycling.
And in a format like Sealed, people play Forsake the Worldly almost all the time.
Yeah.
Like if it's on color, it's worth the slot.
And here flies in the Gustwalker for 3 damage. Eduardo will drop to 11, and there's one of Neil's 2 fan bearers. You can see a copy of Forsake the Worldly on screen right now. Perfectly reasonable, especially with that cycling. Oh, Defiant Great Maw is getting Illusory Wrappings, shrinking down to an O2. Sandworm beats. How
A lot
tough?
of damage really fast.
Ooh, Champion of Ronus.
That's mana fixing.
Yeah, it is. The strangest kind of mana fixing
A
known to
beautiful,
man.
dark, twisted kind of mana fixing, if I do say so.
A 3/3, when you exert it, you may put a creature card from your hand onto the battlefield. Don't have to pay anything. Just play it.
The only way to finish the Trial of Strength is with a Basilisk Scale in the hand.
Nice. It would have been cool to see champion on turn 4 get out a greater sandworm.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
All right, the fan bearer is going to tap down the sandworm for now. Champion of Ronus, there's mana fixing.
It is. It's the best
so
mana
funny.
fixer I've seen him guess.
Neil here, once again, attacking in with this Gustwalker is doing work.
Yeah, this Gustwalker has done a solid 12 points this game.
Eduardo drops to 8. Watchful Naga is the play from Neil. And Neil being able to find ways to untap that exerted Gustwalker, so valuable. No, that sandworm staying tapped.
Oh man, and this is
Spring to
kinda getting
mind.
interesting.
So Eduardo is going to go find a basic land. We take a look at his deck there. Samut. You see that?
Ooh.
Spice. And handy, like, I love Spring to Mind. You can just ramp, go find a land, and then when you want, draw 2 cards.
Yeah, it's a really, really interesting card. It solves kind of the issue with those types of cards in Limited. Then in the late game, they don't really do anything. Right now, in the late game, it's awesome. You draw 2 cards.
That's the thing about this format, Amonkhet in particular, I think is super interesting, is that you have so many ways to deal with things that are usually frustrating as a Magic player, right? You have cycling to help you with mana flood, or if you don't have enough lands. You have things like Embalm to use your creatures more than once, and then Aftermath, which is using your spells more than once, which makes for really interesting play.
Absolutely. So this could be an interesting turn here. I think Neil's doing math to figure out whether or not he can kill Eduardo by tapping down that Iron Hydra.
Oh, here's the second copy of Fanbearer. Is it cold in here? Someone turned on the AC. Okay, I'll stop.
So somebody's like trying to do their taxes. They have receipts everywhere, and it's just ruining the day.
What a nightmare. Too soon, JVL. I just did taxes. You mentioned not liking double fan bearers, but it seems to be kind of the only removal Neil has at his disposal in his deck.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, in sealed deck, you can kind of get away with having, even in draft, you can get away with having 2. I think that they do get worse in multiples. The only situations where you can really do that is when the game goes very, very, very long, and because you can't develop your board while you're tapping multiple things down with them. Of course, when you're playing against things like Honored Hydra and Greater Sandworms, then Fenbear is the exact type of card you want to deal with things like that.
Yeah, if he gets 3 fan bearers, he gets a free air conditioner bear. It upgrades.
So the Gustwalker finally has the brakes put on because of the Cartouche of Knowledge on that Champion of Ronus.
Initiate's Companion hits the table for Neil. Just a ton of creatures out there.
Again, the best.
You are just
This is
super
just
into this.
beautiful. This is just great. We love this.
Oh, Samut. Voice of Dissent. We saw it. That card.
Card is sweet. It's like a. They had a bunch of like a memory game of different keywords, and they just flip them over at random. That's the abilities it got.
She has everything.
The white ability on her is, I think, perhaps the funniest of all of her abilities.
Yeah, she can untap another creature.
which is pretty relevant against these fan
It
bears.
sure is. She has haste, she has flash, she has double strike. Vigilance. I was like, I
Yeah.
know I missed one. There it is.
There's one. There's one.
Other creatures you control have haste. Yeah. So Eduardo here, seeing if he's in a position at all to try and attack Neil's life total. And he's going to come in with the champion of Ronus for 4. Yeah, those fan bearers can only tap down so much, and now there's only one, so.
Only one fan bearer now.
Yeah. The other one's in the yard.
Oh, Cartouche of Strength took it out.
Yep. Sometimes you just have to kill a 1/2.
Yeah. When it's locking down your 7/7s and the like.
I always think that decision is so interesting because, you know, for instance, like killing a wall or something like that.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to because it's preventing so much damage that you would be dealing, even though it's not going to kill you.
It like pains you so much to do it too.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is interesting. Neil is doing the math to see whether or not he can end the game this turn. The problem is that
Yep. We know
Eduardo
a secret.
has a flash creature in his hand.
Oh, wow.
So Neil's going to go for it, it looks like.
I mean, with
He's exerting
Eduardo's
the
deck,
team.
like, you got to be ready to expect anything.
That was a good
You
face.
see him
That was a
there
good
like,
face.
yep. I should have seen that coming, but how could I at the same time?
This part is
Eduardo's
he
deck
doesn't even
so
have
funny.
like a mountain in play.
No, doesn't need one.
Neil like saw Sweltering Suns the game before.
Wow, Sweltering Suns right now would clean up.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why Neil kind of has to go for it there, right? Is because he's in a race against time against Eduardo eventually just drawing Sweltering Suns. And I guess he needs a second red for it.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
and I don't
he
think
has
he can
gift-
get the
he-
second red because he's a gift, a Painted Bluffs, and a mountain in his graveyard. So I think Sweltering Suns is just a cycle for Eduardo at this point in the game. What do you think? Is there a fog?
He's got a gift right there on his forest.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Is that an impeccable timing? Eduardo down to 3. Fanbearer is tapped.
And it looks like this is a lethal attack. I wonder what Neil could have. He could have Haze of Pollen, I guess.
But
That'd
could
be a
he?
pretty exciting one.
Have
Yeah,
you played Haze of Pollen yet?
I've sideboarded in Haze of Pollen.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, when I've been blue-green with a lot of flyers, and I've played against a deck that was like all ground dudes, you're like swinging back and forth, and then like, you know, if you get into a race, it wins the race for you,
Do you want to know what my
or you
nickname
cycle it.
for Haze of Pollen is?
Once again, 5 p.m.
The Happening.
Pairings for your
All right, Eduardo takes it down. Neil extends the hand, has to take his first loss of the day. Not a bad showing for him at all, though, going into day 2 with only 1 loss. Eduardo advancing to 9-0.
My favorite steel deck of the day, by far.
Yeah,
The greediest.
it's so cool.
The coolest. He's like
Just
right
play it
now, you
all.
know, there's like an explosion happening behind when he puts on sunglasses and he walks out of the feature match area.
And it's the music.
Yeah.
We've seen the whole gamut today of sealed
Oh,
decks,
absolutely.
which is really cool because not every format is like that.
Not at all.
We saw a really fast aggressive deck in Yoel Larson's deck where we had Consuming Fervor attacking for, what was it, 7?
On turn 3.
On turn 3. And then now we see Eduardo's 5-color masterpiece, monsterpiece perhaps, who knows. And you know what is really interesting too is sometimes you open that sealed pool where you're like, well, I've got a lot of good cards. I've got Samut in here, you know, but my colors are all over the place. But he said, you know what? I have 2 Gift of Paradise. We're doing it.
Yeah, and the thing is that this was a risky move on his part. You look at his pool and, you know, it looks like he could very easily have just been like a green deck with a little bit of blue and a little bit of red.
Yeah.
But he just went down the rabbit hole. You know, like he just he took a few steps forward into like this like weird mystical world, and then he just kept taking a few more steps forward. Like you can almost watch the deck building process by looking at the list of cards that he's playing with. And like just like see how he's like adding more absurdity to the process as it continues to go on.
But I think that's a beautiful thing. When a deck
I
like
love
this
it.
can go 9-0, love it. Anything is possible. There's a look down at our feature match area. You can see our players there, Neil, getting up now from the match. In case you're curious, that's another Neil down there, Neil Rigby. He's keeping track of life totals.
The big rig.
The big rig.
From England. The greatest English Magic player.
He's very, very good.
He is very,
he
very
made the
good.
last Pro Tour, and his accent is wonderful.
I absolutely agree. He's a northerner.
Samar Davis here taking a look versus Kyle Thiele. I've definitely played Samar in a tournament before. It was a really interesting match, too, because I had him dead, but then he played, I can't remember the card, it cost 7, and then you gain like 8 life or something like that. Last set. Daggers, man.
It's brutal. Kyle Thiele looking to have an aggressive strategy here. Blood Rage Brawler type attack. Ooh.
Ooh, Glory Bringer hits the table for Kyle Thiele.
That is a real card.
Oh, yes, it is. Do you exert? Probably. Meanwhile, Samaru's got his own copy of Ronus the Indomitable, which we've seen for the 100th time today somehow.
Yeah, that guy's everywhere.
He's a snake. He just slithers in. All right, shooting down the hooded Brawler. On Crop Crasher is being exerted, saying the True Heart Duelist cannot block.
And he's so good at blocking, too, and he can't do
I know,
it.
and he can't do it. He's
It's
like,
a
this is what
shame.
I do. I'm not quite sure what that angel is meant to represent. Probably a warrior because there's a cartouche of solidarity in play.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Samar drops down to 6. Ronus currently inactive with only a 2/2 in play. Oh, he's going to pump it so he can attack.
Yeah, getting in for 9 here. I like this line. You know, putting Kyle 7, and Kyle has both those creatures exerted. And
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? It's like,
I would have been too
Go
scared to
ahead.
make that play.
yeah. I like that play a lot. Turn the tide.
Kyle sitting on 2 cards in hand. Blood Rage Brawler, a 4/3 on the table for him currently.
It's also, you know, it's tempting to try to advance your board state in a spot like that, but
Yeah.
what are you ultimately achieving there? And you already have this mythic rare in play. Like, don't you want to use it? We want it to be active?
And you're facing down enormous threat in Glorybringer at the same time.
Yeah.
I'm getting reports, by the way, that Kenji Igashira 8-1.
Nice. This could be his weekend. We believe. And Samar could have any number of cards that kind of just put him in a very strong winning position here. I think that there are a lot of pump spells and whatnot that.
Yeah, 6-7. This is a very close game, despite the fact that we have an amazing mythic. Or sorry, it's not even a mythic. I call it a mythic, amazing rare on Thiele's side of the board. Oketra's Monument. Interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's going to do much.
I mean, you just have to play any creature spell and you get a 1-1.
Well, that's true.
All right, he, once again, Samar pumping the True Heart Duelist, smashing with Ronus, and the 4-2.
This is interesting.
Oh. Kyle's going to block Ronus. Take 4 instead of 5.
And that's it. Next turn, Kyle can exert and win the game.
Unless he has compulsory rest. Initiate's Companion. Not going to do it.
No. But Samar did win the first game, so.
Yes. So we are going to go to game 3 here. Yep. That'll do it. Kyle is evening things up here. 1 game apiece. In round 9 here at Grand Prix Richmond.
Ronus, man. He's everywhere.
I almost can't believe. So when I just saw that Ronus again, I would just. Did I really see that Ronus?
I haven't opened one or played against one yet.
I have.
And I've done so many drafts in sealed decks. I guess it's a mythic rare, so I mean, they're I haven't seen a Gideon either. I haven't played against one or had one.
You look kind of sad right now.
Yeah, I mean, it's a card I don't think it's that great. It's very good, but there are definitely a lot of cards I would rather have than Ronus.
Yeah.
I would rather have Trial of Zeal than Ronus by a lot. By a lot.
Call me.
Yeah.
You're huge on Trail of Zeal, which you should be. I mean, it's a great card.
Yeah.
What's
I think
the most?
Everybody should be huge on that one.
What's the most trials and cartouches you've had in a deck? Have you done that deck where you're just constantly trialing and cartouching?
Yeah, that's I've had those decks a few times. I think the most I've had is I had 2 Trial of Knowledge, 2 Trial of Zeal, and then 4 cartouches, and then all my other cards were creatures.
Awesome.
Yeah, and it was a 3-color monstrosity. And that
I
deck
love
was
it.
sweet. Yeah, I'm on with that deck.
So coming back here tomorrow, we'll be seeing draft from the players. Going into draft on a Grand Prix like this, kind of the first big tournament that's showcasing the limited format, what are you thinking about?
In the draft format, I'm thinking that I want to stay open because, especially at day 2 of a Grand Prix, you end up with some weird situations day 2 of a Grand Prix drafting, especially when a set is brand new, because sometimes there are players who are at your draft table who, even though they are very good players, they've never drafted the set before.
Right.
That happens at these events, often. Even at very high seeds, because these people are just really good at building sealed decks. These people are really good at doing these things, but they haven't drafted the set yet. So if you have a lot of knowledge about the draft format, the ability to stay open and the ability to take the deck that's given to you is just so valuable. And that's basically the best advice I can give to somebody is just stay open as long as possible. Avoid 2-color cards in pack 1. Try to focus on 1 color in pack 1, the color that seems the most powerful, and maybe dip your foot in the water in a few other places where you can, but don't really figure it out until later on.
In Amonkhet specifically, do you have any preference for color combination? If you had your preference, what colors would you draft?
I think green-white is the best deck. I've
Okay.
definitely had the most success with green-white. I think basically all of the exert creatures are worthy of a first pick, like except a few, but that's an absurd statement to make because there are so many of them, and it's the truth.
Samar Davis kicking things off early here with the True Heart Duelist.
Ooh, and there's Edifice of Authority. We've seen that
nice.
card be awesome all weekend.
Oh! And it's cycled. We had something that kills artifacts here by force.
Oh, no, I
No,
believe that's a
no,
Pursue
you're right.
Glory.
It's a Pursue Glory. Thank you very much. It looks
Oh,
kind
but
of similar. Oh, but there's a Manglehorn, so
Yeah. That
Either way.
Man, Manglehorn is a blowout here.
wow.
Getting like Viridian Shaman and limited for a very powerful 3-drop. That's brutal.
I see a Prepare to Fight in Samar's hand as well, which
That's a
is
very good
a
card.
fantastic card. I played against somebody who had 2 of those. Turns out it's good to have 2.
It is.
Manglehorn, of course, taking down an artifact when it enters the battlefield. And any artifacts that Samar would play would enter tapped. Here's Magma Spray, so he's got to decide what he wants to do here. Prepare.
He's prepared.
Oh, wow. Trial of Zeal. Takes
wow.
down the
Yeah.
duelist anyway.
And
Kyle
it does get
gets in.
exiled because of the Magma Spray. So,
Oh, you're right,
That was
because
good.
if it would die this turn, yep. Exile it
quite good
instead.
there.
Here we have a Devoted Crop Mate, which may get it back.
No, it can't. It was exiled.
Oh, you're right. What am I talking about?
Yeah,
His graveyard is opposite the way I do it.
Yeah,
That's how I'm
the-
getting backwards.
the Magma Spray was so good there.
Especially since it also has Embalm.
Yeah. He thought he was just blocking the Embalm, but Samar also had a Devoted Crop Mate.
Another Trial of Strength.
Ooh, and he has a Cartouche in hand. Oh, this is gross.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, he has 2 Cartouches in hand?
All right, pick them up. In come the Manglehorn and the Beast. That Crop Mate can't even block.
Oh, my.
What a beating.
This is disgusting. It's hard to watch.
Samar drops to 11. Oh. I mean, he was fighting the good fight, but that was brutal.
Yeah, I mean, Samar has used almost all of his mana on every single turn, and props to Kyle for sideboarding in that Manglehorn. Also, just here we've gotten to see like the absurd power of the trials alongside the cartouches.
It is absurd. Compulsory rest will send that crocodile to sleep, but you're so right. I mean, combined, the power is insane.
Yeah, because they're all good cards in their own right.
Right. Kyle taps 5. And there it is.
Didn't even need to return these trials.
And there it is. Oh, Spidery Grasp. +2, +4. I'll block your Glorybringer. It was not exerted. Or was it?
I believe it was.
Okay.
Yes. And I mean, he had a 2-for-1 himself there to kill the Glorybringer and spend more mana than the Glorybringer costs, and it still felt like,
Oh,
this is
man.
the best thing.
Right?
Thank goodness.
We killed it somehow.
Yeah.
Samar goes to 9.
Yeah, this game's not going to end well for Samar.
Oh.
Kyle Thiele with
Recurring a trial with cartouches. I cannot overstate how fabulous it feels.
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about what's happening right now, we're seeing what this format is capable of, and this is what you want to be doing. This
Right.
is why the trials are so good. This is, this is how you win in this format. Is you use those cards and you
Oh.
abuse them.
Just going to shoot Samar's face here for 3. Made another crocodile.
Players in the sealed rebound event, your
Value Town. I thought we were in Richmond.
Yeah. Apparently, we're in Value Town. Now,
Initiate's Companion.
that can trade even through a Cartouche of Strength, but it's important to note that Cartouche of Strength is a May ability.
Yes.
That's something I didn't realize early on, and that's really, really powerful because when your opponent plays a pump spell,
Right.
when you're like, oh, I choose that to fight,
Yeah.
and they're like, okay, I'll pump my creature, so I'm going to win the fight, you can just be like, okay, I'll choose not to fight.
That's so weird because that's
Because you
not.
choose upon resolution.
Yeah, it's not intuitive, but that
Yeah.
is how it works.
And they're just like, wait, no, you pick the creature you're going to fight, and you're like, yeah, but it's a May. Like, so I picked the creature, but then I chose not to. So
Like,
you
I
choose
will
upon
fight you
resolution, yeah.
if I want, and you know what? I don't want to fight you, turns
Yeah.
out.
I'm actually a pacifist. I don't know if you knew that about me, but it's true.
Here we have the other Cartouche of Strength, just to pick up those trials, because that crocodile certainly can attack.
I think he has another Cartouche in his hand.
What? Yeah, he does. Zeal. Samar just holding a land. In comes the crocodile for 5. Samar will go down to 1.
Yeah, and Kyle has that other trial in hand, so
Yeah,
Samar
even if
knows
he's a
the writing's
creature.
on the wall. Kyle's deck is awesome. Pretty
It's
sweet
really
to
good.
watch this go.
Ketra's Attendant. It's not going to be able to block, though. Some bad news for you. Or I'll just hit you for 3. There's the handshake. Kyle Thiele taking it down 2-1 here in round 9. What a fabulous set of matches we saw this round, JVL.
Yeah, I mean, once you're in the 8-0 bracket, you start to see some real sweet stuff.
All right, so that's it for round 9 here at Grand Prix Richmond.